All right. Hey, guys. We are here again for the next episode of a conversation with Kely. And I know what you guys are thinking. You're a little bit early this time around. The week hasn't ended. Well, as I said in the last video, when they're usually what I've done on my channel, and I'm going to incorporate it into this podcast because I think this is the best way to talk about weeks that have double evictions is focus on the week so far leading up to the double eviction, and then we're going to have a separate episode of the double eviction. But before we get into that, I'm, of course, joined by my co-host here, Allie. How you doing today?
Oh, I'm fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing great. There's a lot of stuff to talk about here. We have, once again, like 4 pages of notes, a week's worth of stuff I feel like has happened already. So I'm very excited to get into it. But I'm also very excited to introduce this panel on here because we've had some issues here, when it comes to guests. We've had a lot of the same type of people. And finally, we do have a women guest. We actually have 2 of them, which is great. 2 of our very good friends. One of them's been on here before. I think one of them hasn't been here, but we will introduce both of them. We have Jenn Rudolph and Jazzie. How you guys doing?
Hey, doing great.
Yes.
What's up? Just vibing.
Yes, very excited to have both of you on. But before we get into this week overall, I'm going to ask the same thing I asked to all of my guests, to both of you. What are you guys thinking about this season so far? You like it? Do you like where it's heading? All that kind of stuff. Either of you can start.
I think it's a good season so far. Obviously, it's, especially compared to last year, because last year,
I mean, anything is better than last year.
Literally. But I was actually talking to Topher, who, for those that don't know, that's my boyfriend.
He's been on here before, I think. Yeah.
He has. We came to the conclusion that this season, there are too many likable people.
Yes.
I'm getting a little bit bored with the season. And I think the issue is because they're all so dang likable. So there's not as much drama. So you know what I mean?
No, definitely. It is kind of getting to that point where it's like, where's someone that I can actively dislike? There isn't, there are only a few people that are like that. So
yeah, even the people that they aren't working together, you can tell that they genuinely like them.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Which is good to see. It's refreshing,
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I'm really enjoying this season so far. I think it's got a really great cast. I love the diversity of the cast and kind of how this season's gone. And it's been really interesting. It's been sad, some of the evictions, but I'm actually excited to see how it goes.
And that's the thing with such a great cast like this, every eviction is really going to suck, especially maybe this week's.
Yeah.
Sure. But, we will get into that in a little bit. We're just going to start off here. This was a really interesting week already. I feel like, there was a pretty big switch in power, and we got to see someone that I haven't really been that impressed with actually get to see where her head's at this week. And do I like her anymore? We'll get into that. But anyway, let's just start off. So we go back before the Beth ended up winning the HOH, and Jed talks about how he didn't really want to win the comp. He's happy that Beth ended up winning, and this really brings up something that I've been noticing a lot, and people that have watched the feeds, I know I've been bringing this up, but I think especially it shows this week. Jed just does not feel like someone who's playing for himself. He's playing for Beth. It's very clear he is. He doesn't really seem to have much of his own mind in this game. It's like what Beth wants, he wants, and I think we really do kind of see that this week because he's constantly flipping back and forth between what he should have done for his game and what Beth wants to do for her game. And I feel like there's no more this is for my game. No, this is for Beth's game 100%. And he's completely wrapped around her finger at this point. And I think we definitely do get to see, I think we definitely saw that this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And I really like Jed, and I'm not a huge fan of Beth, but I think Jed is he's afraid to be making any moves. And that's
right.
I don't want to win this HOH, and that's why he ended up throwing it in the end.
Yeah,
it's bro, you're gonna get to the end and you're not gonna get any votes.
Exactly, he has no resume at this point.
Yeah, I have no resume. It'll
one veto.
Yeah. I've won a veto, guys. You know,
what an amazing story.
What
you know,
an
I got the
amazing
trio and
story. I won a veto and I didn't use it.
I don't know what kind of story he's gonna have. So
yeah, it very much feels like he's not really playing to get to the end. He's playing for Beth to get to the end. And it really does seem that way this week. But very quickly, Beth ends up putting up Breydon, Ro, Tina, and Tera on slap for the week, which makes sense. She's not going to put up anyone that she, is working with of Jed and Ty. And we get to see, I think, the real star this week is Breydon. He is really stressed out, considering that he almost won the HOH. He got so close to winning it. And, we didn't really get to talk about this last week, but Breydon is essentially playing an entirely new game now. Since Austin is gone, he really needs to start playing for himself. And
he's a free agent. That's what I said the other day. He's really a free agent at this point.
Yeah.
And I think I've personally been impressed what he's done this week for himself to position himself as a free agent, considering he just lost his closest ally.
I think
so good.
I think what's interesting for Breydon is that realistically he should probably be the next one out, considering that he had that obvious duo. But what he ends up doing this week, I think he has some legitimate longevity in this game, and I think we really do get to see that here, because he really wants to work on his social game with Austin gone. And the first person he decides to talk to is Tera, because she feels that she's really going up this week, and Breydon thinks it's crazy that no one from her side has been on slap yet. And the remnants of the oddballs, they hate how close Beth, Jed, and Ty have become. They have not tried to hide it at all. It is so obvious that the three of them are so close. And they also hate that they're for sure losing a number this week. And, we kind of talked about this. The Oddballs Alliance, not really a thing anymore. With Austin gone. Yeah, it's really not a thing anymore. And so at this point, for the people that are left, they really do need to start making other deals. And I think Breydon probably did the best job out of everyone.
Definitely agree. I think he did a great job with kind of swaying Beth kind of to go after what happens later on. And, I think
he's actually proving himself to be more than just
absolutely. I think he's proving himself to be a huge threat in this game, and I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing him go incredibly far.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel like he's made some subtle but good moves.
I agree.
It's really shows that he's a good player, and it's really impressive considering the position he was in just last week. So I'm really excited to see him go further.
Yeah, definitely. He's really doing a great job of doing things that you wouldn't expect for him to be the one to do, but he really is kind of doing it. Anyway, babe, go ahead.
Vic says she feels relieved that Austin is gone and is very happy that she made Final 9.
For now.
Yeah.
For now.
She said that. She really did.
Beth feels she needs this attention in order to stay calm, and that she's a complete wild card at the moment.
Yeah, which she very much is. I think Victoria is very much in a weird spot after last week's HOH. I talked about how I get what she was trying to do, but the way she's come out of it clearly is not the way she came out of her first HOH. She's very much a red hot target at this point, and you really do see that throughout the entire week.
Yeah. 100%.
She went from this really good position to being number one.
I don't think her winning HOH last week was necessarily a good move for her.
No, it was not. She should not have won that.
But they are able to figure it out at this point. And she had that slip up where she was like, "Oh, I've won more comps than everyone combined," and they were able to decipher that from that statement alone that she won the HOH just based off of the number of competitions that everyone else has won. And it was sis, what, if I won, because she also she was I think she told Kiefer, right?
She did, which she should not have done.
I wouldn't have told a soul. I wouldn't have hinted at it, nothing. It was just hard. Also, I think, I don't know if putting up Breydon and Austin was necessarily the best. I don't know why she felt so threatened by Austin. But.
Yeah,
I think again, I get what I've said last week. I get what she was trying to do. She was trying to frame the trio for it, but she did it in such a flashy way that it was so obvious that it was her.
Right. Where the trio knows that it's not them because they would have told each other.
Yeah.
Especially putting up Breydon.
Which is also dumb, but still.
Also, I mean, it sucked, but I do get it because she didn't really talk to Austin as much as like her last HOH.
Yeah.
So I just didn't feel that good with her.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. Not a very smart move for her
I feel like
at
there's
all.
not really like I feel like ideally in a situation like this, you would want to put up like floaters, but there really isn't really floaters this season.
Honestly,
Well, Tina, not doing much.
Yeah, Tina.
But
Tina
she's
and
not,
Tara would be
everyone is
totally-
in their own like thing. Like everyone has
definitely.
their own thing. So there's not really anyone. I mean, Victoria was probably the only like floater-esque type player that
She was alone.
yeah. Like, everyone else like really was like in their pairs. So
Mhm.
Right.
I don't know.
honestly, I think the best move during the Invisible HOH would have been like Tina and Tara.
Yeah, that's what I would say
Yeah,
that as
because
well.
then you could
Like,
literally frame anyone for
yeah,
it. And that's
no
what I
one
thought
would
she was going to do.
know who did
Yeah.
that because like
100% agree with that.
mhm.
And the less of Tara, the better, especially with the way she
Yeah, honestly, the only ones I'm not really a fan of right now are Tara and Kiefer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same,
definitely.
honestly.
And for me, I'm not really a huge fan of Beth.
Yeah.
I don't like some things she does, but like I don't like her.
I don't like
Yeah.
her. I wish I did. I mean, I don't know. She's just annoying to me, but that's just my personal.
Mhm.
I get that.
I have my thoughts, and we'll get into that when we get more into it.
I was like, I am just waiting to tell everyone my thoughts on that.
Yes.
All right. Next part. Ro thinks he needs to work close to Breydon because he knows how close him and Beth have become, and that he needs to use him so Beth knows he wants to work with her. He tells Breydon that it should be Vic and Tera this week.
Yeah, and I thought Rohan was someone else that really did some good work this week. You know, he made that stupid move last week, and I'm like, oh, he's going to be out the door. But what I think he did really well is buddy up with Breydon, and they're kind of each other's number one at the moment. And, you know, I think both of them did a really good job of making what could have been obvious targets actually beneficial to people's games, and especially for someone like Beth. Like, Ro did not like her at all. He wanted nothing to do with her a week ago, and now suddenly they kind of have each other's backs, and I like seeing that here.
Me too.
I think it was very, very smart on Ro's part to pair him with Breydon. And really, it showed a lot of gamesmanship from him. And then, like, the whole thing about working with Beth to possibly, you know, you get the for him to be on the knowing that he was going to be on the block and get the veto was also really smart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely a good move on his part. Not what you would have expected. I don't know where Jenn went.
Sorry, I needed to sneeze and I didn't want to do it on camera.
Okay. That's important.
Tina and Tara talk about how they need to remain calm this week without kissing people's asses. Tara says she thinks Tina is fine, but that's going up. Tina says whatever Jed wants is what Beth is likely going to do this week, and they need to do what they can to get on his good side.
Yeah, I really don't. Honestly, like, in terms of Tina and Tara, I really feel like at this point, they're just really not playing all that well. And we really do kind of see that here because they talk about how we don't want to kiss people's asses this week. But then she's like, oh, you got to get close to Beth. And it's like, which is it? Like, you can't say let's kiss people's asses and then be faithful. And like Tera talks about later in the week how like she has to do that. And I don't know what they're doing. I really don't.
They're just there. They're just like being moms and just sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah. Like,
No, we hate you too, Sean. We hate you too.
Yeah, Tara's just not that good of a player.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with the way she handles things this week. You really, really get to see that.
Yeah.
Sean.
No, we don't. No, we're not. Yes, I would hope you're kidding.
We would hope you're kidding.
Else you're not coming back on this. I know you have silent podcasts right now, but you're not coming back on this if you're gonna.
We're not taking Victoria slander in this house.
We don't do that. We don't do that. No, we did. But for a second, we were like, no.
Jed, Ty, and Beth talk things over and say that the way things should go this week is that it should be Ro and Tera, and if Ro comes down, put Vic up.
Now, here's where we get into my initial problem for this week, is that they talk about how they want to do this, but they're constantly going back and forth throughout the week with like, do we actually want to make this move? Is this something that we should do? And it's like, I just think they should have like stuck to it. Like they were so conflicted over whether or not they want to do it. And Beth keeps talking about this week, oh, I'm this badass player. And I'm like, no, you're fucking not. You were so like indecisive about it all week. Like, how can you call yourself this like cold-blooded, like, you know, badass player? Yes, it's a great move, but I don't really feel like this is Beth's move. I feel like this is more Breydon's move, since he's the one that kind of gave him the idea of doing it. So
he really was like, Victoria needs to go, and Beth was like, okay.
Yeah,
and she seemed very like timid about it. Like she wasn't very confident the entire week. And like
at first she just wanted to like, she didn't want to go for Vic right away.
Yeah.
And then there was kind of that flip-flopping between her and Ty and Jed about like whether it should be Ro be the target or Victoria be the target. So it kind of like, you know, she really didn't like own, yes, this is what I'm doing and you're not talking me out of it. So I agree. It was more Breydon's move. Breydon convinced her to do this, and she didn't like come up with it on her own.
Right. And like she keeps like taking credit for it. Like she talks about how, oh, Vic is like the strongest player this week. You know, she was gunning hard for them last week, and they think it's crazy. Like she's won as much as she has and has never once touched the block. But it always feels like this is something that like they're kind of like flirting with the idea with. They're never quite sure if they want to do it. And, you know, it just... That's why I just was not that impressed by Beth this week. Like I'm seeing people say, oh, Beth is playing for herself, but I'm here thinking like this was Breydon's move. Like this is Breydon who's the one that presented it to her. Like she was ready to sell out Ro, and then all of a sudden, like suddenly, you know, all of a sudden, like she wanted to go for Vic. And it's interesting because Victoria talks to Kiefer and says that Beth really is like not her favorite person in the house. And Kiefer says that she needs to suck up to her for a week, and he's hoping they have a plan to like backdoor Ro, and hopefully Tera will go up. And he really does nothing to save Victoria here, which is weird considering they should be each other's number one. I don't know. I don't think the Sunsetters handled this well at all. I think they were 100% focused on what was good for like Breydon and Beth, and not really focused on what was good for them. And I think we really do kind of see that here.
Yeah, and even going back to the point about Beth like going for Victoria, and people saying that it's not really her move. It's more Breydon's move, which is correct. And people who say that she was playing the game for herself, I think they're saying it more because she's not doing what Jed and Ty wanted. And I think that's why they're like saying, oh, yeah, she's playing for herself, but not really. Someone else manipulated her.
I definitely think it'd be smart if Beth turned Ty and Jed at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Sean here. This move was better for Beth's game and not the Sunsetters, 100%. Because they kind of, like, Jed and Ty kind of needed Victoria. And we definitely, like, that's something they talk about later on. So, yeah. I guess Jenn had to sneeze again.
I'm sorry. I don't want to sneeze on camera.
Allergy season is real. Allergy season is a real thing.
It is real. Oh,
we hate to see it.
We really do.
Yeah.
All right. Victoria, Kiefer, Ty, and Jed talk about how there has never been a cast like this before in terms of connections and ethnicity.
100%.
Which is really nice. I like that part.
Oh, yeah. We do love that.
Love it.
All the house guests are given messages from home, which is honestly like a really sweet moment to see.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
I don't know why I took notes about it, though. There's not much going on there in terms of game.
Right. Tera is very frustrated with the fact she's going up and goes to talk to Beth about it. Beth says she's doing it because people have been saying her name, and Tera says she doesn't like the women going against each other. Which,
again, Tera's game is just very confusing here because, like, Tina seems like she's her number one, and then she's like she doesn't like Beth and has to be fake to her. And I just it seems like because of the fact that Tera's never been up before, suddenly she's like all just like upset about it. And it's like it was going to happen eventually. Like Tera should have known this was going to happen to her and should have really tried to like, you know, present other options, you know, knowing that so she isn't the target or like offer some kind of deal to Beth. And she really makes no effort to do that this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she literally kind of was like, oh, so there's nothing I can do about it or whatever. And
I agree with Marcelo, by the way. We might as well just call them IKEA and Walmart. But let's be honest here. Tera's definitely Walmart and Tina's IKEA. Yeah. So it's pretty easy to tell who's who.
Yeah.
Or basically like the Dollar Tree and Dollar General.
Oh my God.
Yeah, definitely.
Breydon and Beth agree that Ro is someone that shouldn't be the target and that he wouldn't go for her. He says that Vic is an overall bigger threat. He goes back to Ro with this info and lets him know he's trying to get her to go after Vic.
Yeah, and again, this was 100%. This is why I really do think this should be considered like Breydon's move. Like if he's at the end, this is something that he can definitely bring up. Like I should have been a target and I wasn't because I helped Beth like plant that seed. And we really do kind of see him do that here. And I think this is really going to take him far. I was very impressed by what he did.
Absolutely. Me too. I think he misted Beth very well. And I mean, I was so impressed and in awe of Breydon because I know up until this point he really hasn't done much, but it's great to kind of see him come out from the shadows and really play now that he lost his number one.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually kind of here for this Beth and Breydon alliance in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Me too.
I think it's good for them, honestly.
I think so too.
Especially because like someone's gonna take a shot at that 3 soon. They have to. They're dumb if they don't.
So
they
Beth
have
is
to take
setting
a shot
herself.
at that 3.
She's setting herself up well to be positioned where, like, her social game is really good because she's setting herself up to be good with Breydon.
Oh yeah.
And also they kind of need each other because like Ty and Jed would take each other. He lost Austin, so they can team up.
Yeah, I think she's doing the smart thing by kind of having outside alliances even from the trio. So
yeah,
right.
Actually, of the 3 of them, I think she's going to be the most unscathed when the shot is taken at them. So I think she's doing really smart for her own.
Ty and Jed, like, they really aren't trying. I feel like they're not really trying to even make connections with other people.
No.
I think
because they're the big physical threats, even though they haven't done shit.
Yeah, except for the one veto.
Literally. They're kind of just floaters.
Yeah, honestly, they kind of are.
Beth decides to bring Ro as her Wendy's date to work on her relationship with him. They both agree at this point, and no one is going to beat Victoria in Final 2, and they have to go for her this week. Ro says they have each other's best interests, and if putting him on the block is benefiting her, she should do it.
Which, again, was crazy to me because a week ago he was like, fuck Beth. And now all of a sudden he considers her like a close ally. And again, credit to Breydon because Breydon was able to make this happen. And Ro was able to work on his relationship with Beth. So just hats off to both of them. They're really putting in some great work here. But Beth decides to go to Jed about what Ro has talked to her about and says that Victoria should be their target this week. And Jed says that it's going to be a big move. Jed gets tight in on the conversation, says he isn't really sure if this is just them taking out Victoria for the oddballs, even though that alliance doesn't really exist anymore. And Beth says that it's a weird conversation because she knows she's good with Ro and they're good with Victoria. And again, this is where they keep going back to this the whole week is like, you know, you guys aren't good with Ro and then I'm not good with Victoria. And, you know, Jed and Ty are talking things over. They don't think it's in their best interest as of right now. Keep that in mind. They don't think it's their best interest to do this and that Ro is getting into her head. And Jed says that he feels it's just too soon to do it. Like they can go after her, but now is not really the time. And I mean, as an audience member, I would love if that was the case. But, you know, for Beth, that's not, you know, what she wants to do. And they think that Ro is the right play because he is going to come after them. And Jed says that if he were to win the veto, he wouldn't take anyone off and the optics aren't looking good. I don't know about that. I feel like Beth could convince Jed to maybe use the veto. You know, again, I don't feel like they're playing for themselves here at all, especially with what they say. They say something a bit contradictory to it in another conversation that we'll talk about in a little bit. But just once again, Jed not really doing much for himself, kind of just doing what Beth wants.
Mm-hmm. Beth isn't sure what to do this week, considering she doesn't want to go against Jed or Ty, but also feels good with Ro. With limited options, she decides to go for Ro and Tera this week.
Yeah, which, safe options. That's what people were expecting her to do. Of course, she still has the plan to backdoor Vic, and wasn't surprised that she ended up doing what she did here. But getting into Wednesday, Beth says that her overall plan is to send Victoria out the door. She wants to make some waves within the house. And Rohan says that he feels really good with Beth at the moment, and he's just hoping that things go according to the plan and that she's not bullshitting him. So we get a lot of moments here with Victoria going to Beth and talking about how, she didn't realize that she was the target this week. And this is where we got to address the elephant in the room, is that Victoria did not know that she was the target until Prod told her that she was the target. And that's not something that they... Yeah, that's not something that they can really show at all. But I don't think it's an unpopular opinion saying that they did not really do a good job of hiding it. It was very obvious, I feel like, when she knew and when she didn't, because of the way that she was acting. At this point, obviously, she didn't know. But yeah, they really did not do a good job of hiding that. She knew.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, really did not do a great job with that. And Tera's not surprised, meanwhile, that she's on the block. And again, this is where we get to Tera just not being a great player. She's hoping that Victoria is the true target this week, but she's not sure if they actually have her back. She's like, pawns are going to go home. She has to make nice with everyone. Remember, she said she didn't want to kiss ass, and now she is. Yep. And she says that she'd be surprised if they actually went through with the plan. And then I put in parentheses, even though she hasn't done shit in this game, because she hasn't. So she's not that's the thing. Tera is not a threat at all. The one time she tried to do something is when she tried to flip the vote for Kyle and Austin, and that did not work at all. And that's the only time I've been like, okay, Tera has some agency in the game. Other than that, she's done absolutely nothing to she's done absolutely nothing to really help herself here. And I think under normal circumstances, if it's someone that wasn't Victoria on the block, I think Tera probably, gets herself out here.
Tera hasn't won shit, so she's literally just been a couch.
Literally a couch.
Yeah, couch at Walmart. Exactly.
It's just the entire block,
Pretty much. Yeah, there's not a block. It's just
Tera.
It's literally just it's Rohan, and then there's a block next to him. There's no one actually. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But Kiefer goes to them. Tera says that she doesn't want to be in the position where she's sitting next to Vic because of how much she's going to smear her. Again, showing that she's kind of scared of her. And it just makes me question, then why don't you go for the veto so you don't have to be on the block with her? Why don't you try to play hard in the veto? Because then you will come down and you won't be next to Victoria. She can still do that. And Kiefer says that it's a really bad scenario, but that she's going to stay. Tina's reassuring her the same thing. And, Kiefer's talking about how he thinks Ro is winning the veto, but that Ro is not the target here, which again, Tera isn't sure about. Just continually having the best read on things. Definitely just absolute top tier read on things from Tera here. And she says that he needs to pick, she calls him out and she starts talking about how he needs to start picking what side of the house he's on. And he says that he's really on his own side. And that's kind of the game that Kiefer wants to play. The problem is I don't really feel like he's doing that because he hates Rose so much. I don't think he's on his own side. He definitely has people that don't feel good with him and are going to want to take him out. So I don't think that game is really working for Kiefer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Kiefer literally hates on him for the most random reasons.
Yeah, he gets fucking skip the dishes and he scowls at him for no reason. It's just I don't understand how it started, and it's almost to a cartoonish degree his hatred for Ro. It's a
one-sided feud kind of.
Remember when I said Kiefer's growing on me? Yeah, I take that back.
Yeah, definitely not. But Tina says she most likely will not be going home here, and if Ro stays, they don't really trust him at all. And Tina says the same way that Kiefer feels about Ro is how she feels about Vic. And Tina's feeling like her and Kiefer are not really on the same page at this point, probably because she's not playing the game well, but neither is he. So that's probably why they're not really on the same page with things very much at all here. So remember when Kiefer said his best move was to work with Tina and Tera? Not really working out for him at this point. Really not working.
Yeah. He really should stick with Victoria, but
Yeah, he really should. But, he's not.
Breydon and Ro talk, and he says that if Beth truly wanted him out, Tina and Tera would be on the block right now, and it would be an easy backdoor for him, so he even giving him the opportunity to play the veto. He believes her.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's the thing. Like, if people actually want Rohan out, they're going to have to backdoor him, considering that he keeps winning the vetoes over and over again. And I like the thing about Breydon and Ro, and I think what puts them above other house guests is that they realize, like, yeah, we're not the targets here, and we're fine with being up for now because we know we're not actually the targets. They're not causing any, further problems because they know why Beth did what they did. So I think Ro in general, like, again, played this very well here.
Absolutely. I completely agree. I think he played it very, very well. It was just like, okay, I'm just gonna focus on winning the veto, get the veto, and
yes, Sean, I do see it. I'm getting to it. I'm not there yet. I'm trying to bring up comments in terms of, in terms of what we're talking about.
Not this.
But yeah, they both played very well and stayed calm throughout the week, which is definitely what was needed.
Yeah. I'm like, Tera.
Tera was like, I'm going on the block. I'm on the block.
Yeah.
Breydon is confident this move is going to work and that if he can get her backdoored, that would be the best scenario for them. Rose says that Vic is a wild card at this point and she feels threatened by the friendships people have made and that Ty and Jenn are a big threat to win the veto. And as long as he's on the same page as Beth, they should be good here. The only scenario this fails is if Vic wins the veto.
Really, yeah, which, I mean, at that point, Beth's HOH would kind of be a flop if that were to happen. But that is not at what really ends up happening at all, which we'll get into. Oh, it's still you.
Oh my god, I thought you were talking about something.
No.
Beth is still unsure whether or not she wants to make this move, and Jed says he isn't sure Vic is going to go for them, and they think it makes more sense to go for Ro this week. But Beth feels Vic is playing the entire house while Ro only has a few people.
Which is very much true.
Yeah. Jed says they have no relationship with Ro and that Vic won't make it far without them. Beth says she's focusing on her game and not theirs.
Which, again, I mean, she very much is, but she's also focusing on, like, what Breydon wants to do. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It definitely seems like she's going from playing for one person to another now.
Yeah. Which, I mean, is definitely working for her.
It's working for her because, I mean, it's somewhat in her best interest, but,
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like.
Kiefer also feels Ro needs to go this week. It seems Breydon is also with the Sunsetters now. Beth says,
which is a really interesting move. I would not have expected that to happen, but it just shows how well he's integrated himself with those people.
That's true. He's like really working a social game.
Yeah, he's playing a great social game. He's done so well with like integrating himself with like where he's kind of even above Kiefer in the alliance now, it seems. Yep. So that's really good for his game. That they might take him further than they would Kiefer.
Right.
Yeah. Beth says it's hard to lie to Vic this week because she's supposed to be in a 4-person alliance with her known as the Ghost Peppers, which includes Jen and Ty. Vic thinks it's crazy that she's actually working with them, but it might be her best bet to get to Final Four.
Which I didn't think she was serious about last week when she brought that up, but apparently she was. She thought that Ty, Jed, and Beth are the best like case scenario for her, which is definitely not the case. That's not at all what she should be doing. And I think, again, goes back to what you said, Jen, that like she really should not have gotten rid of Austin last week because she kind of needed Austin in the game. And I think she didn't realize how much she needed her.
This, like, unnecessary, like, grudge or vendetta against her, and I just didn't understand.
Yeah.
They were working together in the beginning, and they could have
dominated.
But
yeah, you really need to stick with the Boston Glossies.
Competitions, pretty much. I mean, they could have dominated had they stayed together and stayed with the Bossy Glossies, but like. I don't know what it was that like set her off so bad about Austin. Because Austin was even spearheading like the whole get Vic on the block last week. So it was very strange that she was so like, we need to get Austin out.
Yeah, it was really weird the way that went. But I guess Jenn had to sneeze again. Kiefer talks to Jed and Ty, tells them what Tina and Tera were saying, and he says he doesn't understand why Breydon is working so closely with them. And Jed and Ty agree that it suddenly feels like he's just as important as they are, which isn't the case. So you can see that Jed and Ty are realizing, like, maybe we're not as close with Beth as we think they are. And what do they do about it? Absolutely fucking nothing. They do absolutely nothing to try to do something there. And yeah, I mean, I agree with what Sean is saying, that like Ty and Jed think Beth is still with them, but they don't see that Beth is gathering numbers, because she really kind of is. I mean, there's one point this week where she kind of goes to the idea of like, maybe I do just want to go against Jed and Ty, because they're really not on the same page here with this Victoria thing. But, you know, I think that's what really is gonna, you know, bite Jed and Ty in the ass at the end, is that they were too loyal to Beth when she's not being as loyal to them. So also to Sean's point here, I do agree with this, that like, you know, it is a good move to be with those three. I just think where they are in the game, it just wasn't going to work out for her, because Beth didn't really want to work with Victoria. And I think that was always going to be the thing that ruins it. So I think Bossy Glossy's, you know, if she had not targeted Austin last week, I think that just would have been more beneficial for her overall. But basically, Jed gives Beth a heads up on what Kiefer has told them, and she says that when they get to the Final Four with him, and I really like that she brought this up, because it shows that she has really good game awareness, that neither of them are going to get past 3. And in the end, Kiefer would not pick her, but Breydon would. So again, Jed can see Beth's not really thinking about them. She's thinking about herself here, and she claims she isn't just doing it because Breydon told her, which I don't know if that's the case. I feel like she probably would not have thought about as much if Breydon told her, but she says that she'd be mad if she's on the block next week because Victoria won. And Jed said that he feels the same if that were to happen to him with Ro. And he says that it's really difficult to have a conversation with him. And she says that she isn't making this decision on her own in any way. And Jed says that they need to choose the best option for them moving forward. And so yeah, again, Jed just completely wrapped around Beth's finger at this point, and you really can see that. So we get to the veto picking, and in addition to welcome back, Jenn, by the way, we figured you had to sneeze again. In addition to Beth, Ro, and Tera, we see Ty, Breydon, and Tina are also picked, and this could not have gone better for Beth. This was like the best possible drawing for her, because these are all people that like she kind of needed to win this veto. So it's kind of like, I feel like it was already kind of set in stone here, like what was gonna end up happening. And Beth assures Tina that the plan is still the same. However, either way, it's very risky, and that if Tera goes home, suddenly something clearly did go wrong, because of the fact that the guys don't feel good with Ro, and she doesn't feel good with Vic. So she wants to make sure that one of them go home. And I thought that was really good on Beth. She clearly knew what she wanted to do. She knew that Tera was the pawn here, which again, I don't know why Tera would be freaking out in the way she is when Beth keeps reassuring her, like, no, you're the pawn. You're up because I need a second person. Like, that's literally it. And she knows that whatever she says to Tina is going to get back to Tera, and feels a bit conflicted with what she really ends up doing. And again, this is why I don't think Beth is this badass queen that she thinks she is, because again, she is still very conflicted over whether or not she wants to do it. So yeah,
no, I completely agree. Like, if had she been like, no, this is what I'm doing, this is my move, whatever, it would feel more like that badass move. But it feels more like, oh, it worked out in this way, so I'm gonna do this move.
It's the Skype notification for me.
Oh my god. In the veto comp, the house guests are given multiple items underneath a grill, which they are to memorize and then have to throw the items onto the grill. Whoever wins will also win a grill of their own. It comes down to Breydon and Rohan, and once again, Ro ends up winning the veto.
Ro show 3 vetoes in a row. Look at him.
Veto. That is like, so, like, 3 in a row. Like, that's so impressive.
I know.
Right.
I'm super impressed with him.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, going back to Marcelo's point here. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Going back to Marcelo's point here. Yeah, I was going to respond to it. I just was waiting. In terms of the 3 vetoes in a row, I do think that this is good for him now. But going into the double, I'm a little worried for him. I am, because they're going to see this and they're going to say, like, we want to get Ro out. Got it back to him.
I can definitely, like, if Ro
The
gets
dog is agreeing. The dog is very happy for Ro.
The dog is like, we're definitely going for Ro.
Yeah. Dog's a big Ro fan. But anyway, I think the thing that is going to hurt Ro is, again, the fact that there is a double eviction. And
I think that would be interesting to see Ro win the double eviction age.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, that'd be great. I want to see what he does.
Amazing.
I would love that.
So would
I want to see it because Rohan came into the season saying, like, I want to be like the villain and things like that. And we really haven't seen him like play that role. So I really kind of want to see him like.
I mean, he was kind of villainous when he
said that.
with Austin.
Yeah. I really do want to see him like be cutthroat in that way as an HOH. And I think that's only going to, like, increase his resume at the end. So I think Ro, I think, again, I think if Ro doesn't win the HOH tonight, he could potentially find himself heading out the door because they're not going to put him up.
Number 4.
It could happen. I mean, it could happen.
I mean, there's a
Probably
very
trying to go for a backdoor, if anything, because he's won 3 vetoes in a row.
No, exactly. Yeah. I think that's
But
probably
also,
what's
with there only being 8 people left at that point, there's a really good chance he'd get picked anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, getting to a point where it's like going to be difficult to like successfully backdoor someone because they'll have a chance to play veto.
Yeah.
Yes, and I agree. This is helping Marcelo's game as well. Double crowning
Yes.
for Marcelo and
Love
Ro.
that.
He's playing for both of them. He's playing for both of them.
We love to see it.
We do.
Beth is freaking out after this, considering that though this is what she wanted, now she is actually going to go through with the backdoor plan. Breydon says she should not tell her. She's going to make it more dramatic.
Which I didn't understand why she was like freaking out about this. It's like, you said you were going to do it. Just fucking do it. Like it's fine. Like this is what you've wanted to do all week. Why are you now like freaking out about not doing it? I didn't understand why she was so worried about it, because it's not like, it's not like she hasn't talked about it all week with people. This is what people have wanted her to do. Just stick with the plan, and she's gonna come out of this fine either way. She has Breydon, she has Rohan, she has basically everyone else except Vic at this point. So like, she's gonna come out of this fine either way. So I really don't know why she was, stressing so much about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, not sure. Like I said, I think this goes back to the point of her like just not owning her move and like reaching wanting to do big moves and then like and comes like shrinking up into a ball.
Right.
And just being like, oh, I actually have to do this now.
Yeah, and I think that is the thing that's going to end up hurting Beth in the end, is that she's not going to own her moves. I hope she does, but so far she's not. While she's doing that, she's not owning the right moves.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
They both talk to Jenn, Ty, and Vic comes in and says she thinks that Tina is going to go up next to Tera this week. They love that she has no suspicion about it whatsoever.
Well, for now.
Right.
Now, to protect it intervenes.
Until Prod tells her.
Prod's just like,
I'm not happy. They're like, Victoria, like, no. Like,
No,
stop.
we don't want her to
Yeah, they really don't want her to go. Watch, there's gonna be a jury buyback like announced after the double eviction. Just go like,
No, it's gonna be a reset week.
yeah, it's just gonna be a reset. They're gonna like try to vote Vic out, and the like alarm's gonna go off.
I think the reason why Prod just likes her is just because she is messy and she like makes it interesting.
Oh yeah, and people have said this too. She's very much playing for the audience, and I think we've definitely seen that. Like, she's all about creating as much chaos as possible and just giving you what you want to see, even if it isn't beneficial to her. She just does like what the audience wants to see, and you can see that she's a fan in that way. But unfortunately, that's why she also is, I think, going to be sent out the door this week.
Yeah, definitely.
All times.
So again, we were talking before about the Jed and Ty of it all and how they didn't want to do it. We're going to circle back to that with what Allie's about to bring up.
Jed and Ty are talking, and they seem to have warmed up to the idea of Vic going out, and says that Tera never did anything to them, but Vic got out Latoya, and that is something they can use against her, and are worried she can do that to them in the future. That was like week 3. They should be over that.
Yeah,
I mean, this is literally week 3. And the other thing they don't realize is like Tera's entire game, or at least what she's been saying, because she seems to like not know any, what she actually is doing in this game. What she claims she's wanted to do is to pit all the guys against each other. That's the game she wants to play. And knowing that, Jed and Ty are not good for her game. Are not like she's not good for their game. And we very much do see that. And obviously they don't know that, but like Victoria is someone that said she's wanted to work with them. Tera hasn't given them any such deal. I don't understand why they don't just try to keep her around.
I don't either. And plus, Tera has said to multiple people about wanting to get Jed and Ty out if she ever got into power.
Yeah.
So taking her out would actually be most advantageous for them if they wanted to stay in this game long term. But I think they're making a terrible mistake by going after Victoria.
Definitely.
Yeah, just a really weird move overall. And again, like I said, I don't Jed and Ty not playing for themselves, 100% playing for Beth at this point. And it feels like they're not gonna end up doing any, having that agency that they really do need for their own game. Like, yes, they've been in a trio with Beth, but you're getting down to a point where this is potentially one of your closest allies in the game that could be leaving, someone that you really do need here. They really should try to get the numbers to keep her around. And I think it could work too, because Kiefer does still feel good with her. And that's the thing. Like he's definitely at a point where he's not feeling good with Tina and Tera. He's probably going to feel better with Vic at that point. And I think they really could have made something work here, but they're not even trying. And it's just disappointing.
It is disappointing.
I thought it was just too early to take the shot at Victoria. Like they should have waited at least a few rounds.
Yeah. And it's going to bite them in the ass. Like if they do it here, this is going to be their biggest regret in the game. Like they're saying, like, "Oh, we're gonna be proud we did this in the future." No, you're not, because you're going to be
not. You're going to be like, "This is what was the downfall of my game and why I got evicted." I could see either one of them going in double. Honestly,
yeah, I definitely could.
Based on
I think Ro absolutely puts both of them up.
I think if not Ro, it's going to be one of the two of them.
Yeah,
I can see it out of Ty and Jed. I can see Jed leaving more.
Yeah. I will say, though, this is unfortunate. I do agree with this, Sean. This is very unfortunate that had to come to that. But, it's Ty or Jed leaving would definitely be, like, I think, a really good double eviction because, they finally took that shot.
It would be a good move.
Oh, absolutely.
It'd be a good move, yeah.
Yeah.
Huge.
So, again, what's even weirder to me is then Vic then assures Ty and Jed, like, she has them. She wants to work with this Ghost Peppers alliance, and she wants to get all the way to the end with them, and she's sincere about it. Like, even though Victoria has essentially been working with everyone, that's kind of been her game, I do think she was sincere about this Ghost Peppers alliance. I think she definitely wanted to make that work, and I think it very much could have. And Tera tells Victoria that she thinks Tina's going up and that she's starting to get a little worried that Tera might go, and they're just surprised that she doesn't feel nervous in any way. She feels completely safe here, and they don't like how, she's about to get blindsided, which she's not, because Prod's not going to let that happen. But Jed and Ty say that they might have to take out, again, they can't seem to fully, they can't seem to come to a decision here, because they think maybe we should just take out Tina or Tera this week. But then they're like, oh, it's going to be a waste. And it's like, no, it's not. That's they're threats to your game.
Victoria's kind of alone, and Tina and Tera
HOH next week, or if Tera wins HOH next week, who are they going to put up?
Right.
Yep, that's what they're talking about, Jed and Ty. I mean,
I know that with Tina, I think, is probably wanting to do Jed as a backdoor.
Yeah. They also need to think about the fact that, like, they haven't been on the block at all. Tina is the only person that hasn't been on the block at this point, besides Ty, obviously.
Oh, yeah,
and Beth as well. Beth has not been on the block. But there's a reason for that, and they need to, like, start thinking about that. And it's like, oh, maybe she's not with us, but for some reason they're not thinking that, and I don't get it. So yeah, that every conversation with them throughout these 2 episodes felt like I was watching a different week. It really did. Like, it's like one week they're like, oh, it's too soon. Then they're like, nope, let's take that shot now.
Right.
And they're like, no, let's go for Tina and Tera. Like, which is it? Which is it?
Literally.
Make a decision. You can't make all of them. I don't get it. But unsurprisingly, Beth does put up Victoria as her replacement nominee. And she has this speech that I quoted because it's one that everyone's been talking about. She says, some people try to play this game with lies, manipulation, and backstabbing. I get it, but remember, if you're going to play this way, you have to take your shot first. Things are about to get spicy, and I don't understand why she had to have this speech. Like, Victoria didn't do anything directly to her, so I felt that this was just a little too mean, honestly. Like, it felt like she was trying to really own that role, and this is where I'm like, Beth, you're not this villain. This is not who you are. You need to just...
And I feel like because she's not the villain, she's generally a very bubbly and, like, happy person.
Yeah.
Right.
So that, like, might put a target on her back moving forward, being like, why are you so nasty?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. If I, like, that wouldn't sit well with me if I was someone else in the house.
Yeah. I do want to go back to Sean's point here, because he says how Beth is kind of like the third of each alliance, and that is true. She is definitely the third, but we are getting down to a point where there are so few numbers. I can see if just one of them compares notes, like, you know, Beth could be fucked in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
So I could definitely see that. And so she talks about how, like, she feels like this badass after this, and Tara's still unsure she's actually going to go because of how good of a talker Vic is. And it's like, Tera, you're the pawn. Just face it. You're the pawn. You're not going to go. Even if Vic campaigns, like, they are getting her out. You're fine. Just
I would literally love a last minute flip.
Yo,
I would too.
oh my God. It's so good.
I'd be so happy if there was
So great.
Like, Victoria only needs like 3 votes, so she can get Kiefer hopefully, and like,
and possibly Jed and Ty. I mean, if she can get them to flip.
Because at first they wanted to keep her.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I'd love a flip to happen, but let's think about this season. How many flips have actually happened? None. So
there's been like serious talks.
Yeah,
like every week about there being flips, and it just doesn't end up happening.
Right. It's happened every single week. They're like, oh, this is the week we're gonna get the flip. This is the week it's gonna happen.
We're gonna flip. It's like,
then it doesn't happen. I thought last week it was maybe gonna happen with Austin, and then it didn't happen. If it didn't happen last week, I don't think it's happening this week. So that's everything to really talk about in terms of what went down in these 2 episodes. I think the only thing really left to discuss is how we really feel heading into this, you know, double eviction. You know, who do we think is safe? Who do we think it's not? All that kind of stuff. You know, we've already kind of talked about it a bit. I think for sure, like, Rohan, like, Ty and Jed should be really scared heading into this.
Honestly, I think the safest tonight is Beth.
I think so too.
I think so too.
Safe. I think Breydon will also be safe.
Oh yeah, I think Breydon's fine.
Breydon's fine. I think everyone else.
And Tina will be safe.
Can you imagine if just Tina goes? That'd be so funny.
That would be crazy.
I don't dislike her by any means, but it's just she's not doing anything.
It's kind of boring.
Yeah,
like, let's get the boring people out this house. Like, where's
the thing? Like, she won that, like, 1 vote from, like, the audience, and you thought maybe that would, like, ignite a fire in her to, like, become this character, but she's just Tina.
Mm-hmm. She's just a mom to everyone. She's just there.
Wow.
Yeah, I was not. Again, I would love if you know, just randomly one of them would go out. That'd be kind of fun to see.
Yeah,
that would be very interesting to see.
Could you imagine if Tina and Tera left?
Oh my God.
That would be wild.
Yeah. No more Tina and Tera show. Everyone's favorite part of the episode.
TNT, they're gone.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, if they had their own talk show, I feel like it'd be kind of boring.
Yeah,
very much so.
Tina's already so low energy anyway. She's like, welcome to the Tina and Tera show. Like, it'd be on, like, fucking, like, public access or something. It wouldn't even be on the regular network. So yeah, I think definitely either way, I think we're in for a really great double eviction. I think that's definitely going to happen for sure. I think, you know, no matter what happens here, even, if Vic leaves or not, which she probably is, I think we're probably going to have a really explosive double eviction for sure. There's a lot of possibilities the way things are brewing between Jed, Ty, and Ro, especially. I hope best case scenario is that one of them wins, because I feel like that'd be the most exciting outcome.
Absolutely.
Agree.
Love to see Ro in power or Breydon in power and getting out.
Man, it could have Breydon has a serious chance because he's come so close, like in the last few comps. I could see it. I really could see it.
It's his best interest to win HOH.
It's not.
It might not be in his best interest, though.
Yeah.
During the doubles, does like stuff happens, and like you're like someone who doesn't want to win HOH gets it. So
and it just everything happens so fast.
Fast.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to be able to like do it all in an hour. I know I say this every single time there's a double eviction, but like there's so much they have to cover. Like I'm just, I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I am very excited.
But yeah, so let's end this before the double eviction happens. So I'm gonna give both of you guys a chance to plug your socials and all that stuff. Jazzie, you're first on my screen, so we're gonna start with you.
All right. My Twitter is @QuinnFaslay. That's pretty much where I am most of the time. So if you want to follow me, keep up with me, follow me on Twitter.
All right. And Jenn. Oh, no, I didn't mean to do that. Uh-oh.
Backstage.
I almost removed
my ad is QuinnFaslay. No, my ad is in my name @Jenn Rudolph with 2 H's. I'll follow you back if you follow me, and let's kiki it up. And yeah, excited to watch the rest of the season.
Yes, and subscribe to her on YouTube. She has a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah.
No, it's not like she just made this channel or anything. Anyway, that's really it for our review for this week so far of Big Brother Canada. Thank you to everyone for watching. We had a pretty lively audience this time around, which was great to see. I know it took a while for us, Sean and Marcelo, to get to your comments, but I just wanted to, to do it in terms of relevancy of what we're talking about and things like that. But thank you guys for watching. Always very excited for how the double eviction is going to go tonight. We're going to go play Among Us and do some slicing. So we will see you guys in our next video, and we will see you guys last. Okay, bye.
Bye.